Hi guys, Alice Taylor down at Lytham Golf Academy, and today we're going to be testing the brand new Mizuno Hot Metal Jpx 919 Pro Iron. Right then guys, so 919 Hot Metal has been out for a bit, but what's the difference between the regular Hot Metal and the Pro? So we're going to look at the difference between the two clubs, decide maybe which kind of golfer the Pro's aimed at, because it's not necessarily aimed at a Pro, but it's a little bit different in design. So when you look at it from the back, just the badge colour's different, it's black rather than white. But certainly when you're looking down on top of the clubs, you can see on the right hand side, a slightly thinner top line with the Pro model, slightly less offset. There's also slightly less bounce on the Pro model iron. So really the Pro model's aimed at the golfer who maybe doesn't need that extra little bit of help getting the ball in the air, and maybe the guy who's a little bit more shallow delivering the club. As ever though, the key isn't to rush out and buy just based on what the design of the club tells you, is always to get fitted. But we're going to hit some real balls, Titleist Pro V1X on TrackMan. We're going to look at some numbers, give you guys feedback on looks and feel and performance, and see if the Jpx 919 Hot Metal Pro irons are something that might be going in your bag for this year. Right then guys, so Hot Metal 919 Pro. Interesting for me because I do feel sometimes manufacturers bring out too many different versions of irons, and I think the Hot Metal itself is a great performing iron. Not sure that loads of guys are going to go for the Pro version. Having said that, we have done a couple of fittings already where the guys have loved the extra forgiveness that Hot Metal gives them. So it still looks fantastic behind the golf ball, and I do prefer the slightly thinner top line, and the little bit offset definitely fits my eye a little bit better. But let's get on with hitting some shots and see how it performs. So it still feels very, very hot off the club face. Certainly good ball speed and very good carry at 171.3 yards. Now it's 30 degrees, so it is definitely on the stronger side of loft for 7-irons. I know I've had a few comments lately from guys saying, you know, we should be comparing irons that are all 30 degrees, depending whether that says 6 or 7. It's very much what it turns into at impact. And certainly with the Hot Metal Pro, you still see there's lots and lots of weight down in the bottom of the head. So it's still going to launch the ball in the air. And when we look at the figures later, it'll be interesting to see whether that stronger loft hurts the backspin at all when we're hitting the shots. But first one, I think, felt great and very good performance. So again, felt solid. There's my little draw, a little bit more ball speed and a little bit more carry out of that one. And I do like it. I mean, my only concern with some of these 7-irons is they are starting to hit the ball further and further, which means that guys are having to put more wedges in the bag. And I'm not sure guys are always fully aware of kind of how far they're going to hit the pitching wedge to then put the correct number of wedges in the bag to make sure they score correctly. So again, felt really good, solid, very, very straight, just a touch out to the right. And again, good consistent ball speed, going a little bit further. Let's have a couple more, and then we can see how the Hot Metal Pro iron performs. Now that was just a tiny bit off the bottom of the club. So you can see ball speed dropped off a touch and lost a little bit on carry. But let's go one final one. And all in all, I'm expecting this to be a very nice forgiving iron. And certainly because of that forged head, a really, really soft feeling iron. So again, felt good. Definitely no issues with getting the ball up in the air. And some really, really strong performance. Right guys, so just the 5 shots. fourth one just a tiny bit off the bottom of the club, but let's look at the 5 shots performance-wise and see how this Hot Metal Pro 7 iron performed overall. Right guys, so we look at the 5 shots there and we can see pretty consistent as an average club head speed, 88 mile an hour, round about where I would expect. Launch angle of 20.3 degrees, so definitely launching a little bit on the high side. We can see the ball speed at just under 121 as the average, but even that miss hit at 116, you know, not a big drop off for one I didn't quite get. Average carry just under 174, and as we expected, maybe that spin rate just a little bit lower than I would like to see at just under 5,000. Right, so we look at the optimizer there on TrackMan, and this will show us very much how it thinks my Perfect 7 iron should perform, and then possibly how this Pro iron performed. So the way I delivered the golf club, I'm always a little bit on the shallow side. Spin loft of 26.9 degrees though was very, very good and right in that optimal range for me. Ball speed was just a tiny bit on the low side at 122. If we look at 20.7 as the launch angle, certainly that's launching a little higher than would be ideal for me. And certainly that spin rate at 4.2 on the last shot would have been a little bit low, but even if I had it in there to some of the others, we can see spin rate a little bit low and a little bit high. So probably not the ideal model for me, but for the guy who maybe needs to launch it a little bit higher and hit the ball a little bit further, this should be a great model. Right then guys, so what did we notice about the numbers there from the Hot Metal Pro iron? Yes, it's very hot off the face, as the name says. It's a lovely forgiving golf club, and even though it's that strong loft of 30 degrees, it's still, with the CG being low in the head, it really launches the ball up. And as I was saying there, you know, I still think this is a great model for the guy who still needs help getting the ball up in the air. Maybe that little bit more offset in the standard model for the guy who fades the ball will help. Maybe for the guy who hits it a bit straighter or draws the ball. This is where the Pro iron itself might come into its own a little bit more. But it's not going to be for everybody, and it shouldn't be for everybody. That's the idea of getting custom fit, hitting the product, seeing what works best for you. But all in all, it's a great looking, great feeling, and very good performing iron. Always get along, get fitted, hit the product side by side, and this just might be the club that goes in your bag for this year. So guys, thanks for taking the time to watch. Really appreciate you taking that time to watch my videos. If you don't already, consider clicking the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell, making sure you find out as soon as any of my new videos drop. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.